Welcome to Epic English Stories, the place where powerful stories don't just teach you English, they shape how you think, how you live, and how you grow. If you've ever felt stuck in distraction, if your days pass by in a blur of noise, scrolling, and unfinished to-do lists, this channel is your quiet corner of clarity. Here we go deep, into language, into life, into stories that sharpen your focus and awaken your potential. And today's story? It's not fiction. It's a true lesson from one of the greatest minds in modern history. And it might just change how you work forever. Let me take you to Switzerland. The year is 1922. A man, tired of the chaos of city life, builds a stone tower by the lake. No phone, no electricity, just stillness and thought. That man was Carl Jung, not just a psychologist, but a revolutionary thinker whose ideas shaped the very way we understand the human mind. But he didn't create those ideas while surrounded by meetings, notifications, or endless interruptions. He built them in silence. Every morning, he would rise at 7 a.m., eat a simple breakfast, and then vanish into his study. For 2 full hours, no one could disturb him. There were no emails to answer, no feeds to check, just pure, uninterrupted thought. That's how he gave birth to some of the most groundbreaking theories of psychology. What Jung practiced, long before we had a name for it, is what we now call deep work. It's the kind of intense focus that most people today have forgotten how to do. The kind that doesn't just make you more productive, it transforms you. And here's the brutal truth. In today's world, deep work is dying. Constant messages, buzzing phones, and crowded open offices have turned our minds into fractured glass. We switch from one task to another, telling ourselves we're multitasking, when in fact we're never really finishing anything. But this crisis of focus? It's also your greatest opportunity. Because while most people drown in shallow distractions, those who learn to focus deeply can achieve extraordinary things. They write better books, build smarter businesses, learn faster, think clearer, and yes, even speak better English. And that's what this story is really about. This isn't just a lesson from Carl Jung or a concept from a productivity book. It's a wake-up call, a challenge, a path. And by the time this story ends, you'll know exactly why deep work is the ultimate competitive edge in a distracted world, and how you can claim it for yourself. Let me ask you something simple but important. In a world where technology changes faster than you can blink, how do you keep up? You don't have a choice. Either you learn fast, or you fall behind. But here's the catch most people miss. Fast learning isn't about being gifted. It's about how you focus. And nothing builds that focus like deep work. Think about this. When was the last time you truly sat with something difficult? Not just glanced at it, not skimmed through it between messages. I mean, stared down a challenge. Maybe learning a new language, mastering a tool, or picking up a skill you once thought was too advanced and gave it your full, undivided attention. The truth is, most people don't learn fast. Not because they're not smart, but because their focus is broken. They try to learn with 20 tabs open, messages popping up, and music blasting. And then they wonder why nothing sticks. But deep work is different. It's what happens when you turn off the noise, when your mind becomes like a magnifying glass, focusing all its energy on one small point. And just like that focused beam of sunlight can start a fire, that focused attention can ignite real learning in your brain. There's science behind it, too. Psychologists have studied how elite performers, chess masters, violinists, pro athletes, learn new skills. It turns out they all share one thing in common: deliberate practice. Not casual repetition. Not doing it when it's convenient. Deliberate, focused, uncomfortable repetition of the hardest parts, done over and over again. But deliberate practice doesn't work in distraction. It dies in noise. Deep work brings it to life. It trains your brain to cut through confusion, to build faster, stronger neural pathways. You start to understand concepts quicker. You remember longer. And suddenly, something that once felt impossible, like learning a programming language or delivering a presentation in English, starts to feel doable. Not because it's easier, but because you're better. It reminds me of when I was learning public speaking. I used to stutter, panic, I would freeze in front of even a small group. But one day I decided to do something radical. I locked my phone away. For 1 full hour each day, I stood in front of a mirror and practiced a single speech, sentence by sentence, word by word. No music, no emails, just me, my voice, and a goal. Within 30 days, everything changed. I spoke clearer, slower, stronger. That 1 hour a day of deep, focused practice did more for me than months of casual reading or listening. And that's the truth. You don't need 10 hours. You need one good one. When you learn under deep work conditions, your brain doesn't just absorb information, it transforms. It becomes faster, more flexible, more confident. You stop needing constant reviews and reminders because what you learn gets wired deep into your thinking. So the question isn't, can I keep up? It's, can I learn to go deep? If the answer is yes, then the next time you face something difficult, whether it's learning English, writing a report, or picking up a new skill, you'll have a superpower most people don't. Because in a world of distraction, the person who can focus is the person who wins. Let's get one thing straight. Doing great work isn't just about talent. We all know people who are smart. They have the degrees, the IQ, the potential, but for some reason, their results are just average. Meanwhile, someone with half the resume, half the experience, is producing brilliant things. Why? The answer usually isn't about intelligence. It's about how they work. Let me tell you a story. There's a guy named Adam Grant. You've probably never heard of him unless you're in the world of academics. He's a professor, a best-selling author, and one of the youngest people ever to become a full professor at an Ivy League school. But the reason people study how he works isn't just because he's productive. It's because he produces a lot, and it's all high quality. So what's his secret? Adam blocks off huge chunks of time, sometimes 3, even 4 days straight, just to focus on one thing. No meetings, no emails, no distractions. He goes deep, and when he does, magic happens. Now here's the principle he lives by, and it's so simple you'll never forget it. Quality work produced equals time spent times intensity of focus. Think about that. You could work for 10 hours, but if your focus is scattered, checking texts, jumping on calls, refreshing your inbox, then you're really only working at 30% capacity. You're busy, yes, but you're not creating anything exceptional. Now flip it. Imagine working just 3 to 4 hours. But those hours are laser focused. No interruptions. No mental leakage. That's when the good stuff happens. That's when your mind dives deep, makes connections, and starts pulling out solutions that you didn't even know were inside you. That's what deep work does. It unlocks your brilliance. And it also protects it. You see, there's something scientists call attention residue. It's what happens when you quickly switch between tasks, say, from writing a report to checking Slack, then to answering an email. Even after you return to your main task, a part of your brain is still stuck thinking about the last thing you did. You never really come back fully. It's like trying to run at full speed with one foot still stuck in the mud. That's why multitasking feels productive, but actually makes your work worse. You lose sharpness. Creativity drops. Mistakes sneak in. And worst of all, you don't even realize it's happening. But with deep work, you don't leave that residue behind. You stay in the zone. You build flow. Remember the last time you were so into something that you lost track of time? That's flow. And deep work is how you get there. On purpose. I remember working on a project that required solving a brutal software issue, one that had stumped my whole team for weeks. One morning, I turned everything off. I blocked the internet, shut down notifications, and gave myself 4 hours. The first hour was frustrating. The second was clearer. By hour 3, I wasn't thinking, I was flowing. And somewhere between coffee and silence, the solution just came to me. Not through brute force, through depth. When you access that kind of focus, you realize something powerful. You are capable of extraordinary things, but only if you protect your attention long enough to reach that depth. That's why great work, the kind that gets noticed, that moves your career forward, that feels meaningful, almost always comes from deep work. It's not about doing more. It's about doing better, smarter, cleaner, deeper. And this doesn't just apply to professors or programmers. It applies to writers, designers, entrepreneurs, students, anyone who creates something of value. Even learning English. If you're trying to memorize 50 vocabulary words while checking YouTube comments, you're not doing deep work. You're dabbling. But if you lock in for 1 hour, no distractions, and read a full short story aloud, write about it, speak it, feel it, you'll absorb 10 times more. That's the game changer. So here's the truth. If you want to do work that matters, if you want to build a life you're proud of, don't aim to be busy. Aim to go deep. Protect your time like it's gold. Because in the age of distraction, your attention is your most valuable asset. And when you use it well, you don't just get more done. You become someone worth watching. Someone capable of great work. By now, you understand the power of deep work. But here's the paradox that might shock you. Even though we live in the most advanced, connected era in human history, deep work is dying. Look around. Every office, every coffee shop, every home workspace, people are typing, swiping, talking, scrolling. There's movement everywhere. But productivity? Real, focused creation? It's vanishing. Why? Because the modern world isn't built for deep work. It's built for busyness. Let's start with the way most companies are structured. They chase open office plans, big rooms with low walls, where everyone can hear each other typing, talking, laughing. It sounds collaborative. It feels modern. But in reality, it's a battlefield for your attention. Every cough, every passing conversation pulls your mind out of its zone. You might think you're adapting, but your brain is leaking focus like a broken faucet. And over time, you forget what real concentration even feels like. Then come messages, email, Slack, WhatsApp, notifications. Can you take a look at this real quick? Every ping trains your brain to expect interruptions, to never settle into silence, to always keep one eye open for the next alert. And what happens? You never go deep, because you never stay still long enough to get there. But here's what's worse. Most people don't even realize this is a problem. They believe that being responsive, replying fast, checking in constantly, means they're being productive. That if you're always available, you're valuable. This idea is dangerous. It's called busyness as a proxy for productivity. In other words, people substitute the appearance of work for the actual creation of value. They bounce from meeting to meeting, clear their inbox twice a day, send Slack messages at 9 p.m. just to show they're on it. But the truth is, most of that is noise. And deep down, they know it. But they're afraid. Afraid that if they slow down and go deep, it won't be noticed. That nobody will see the quiet hours of writing, building, solving. That in the metrics-driven modern workplace, if your value can't be measuring quick clicks or fast replies, it doesn't count. And that leads to another trap, the principle of least resistance. When people can't clearly measure results, they choose the easiest work. Replying to emails feels productive. Joining a call feels important. Scheduling meetings fills the calendar. But it's not the hard, valuable work that moves the needle. It's just what's easiest. And in most companies, easy work gets rewarded more visibly than deep work. This is the silent epidemic of the modern workplace. We're rewarding the wrong things. We promote responsiveness, not craftsmanship. We celebrate visibility, not results. We design workflows around interruptions instead of focus. And as a result, deep work becomes rare. But here's the silver lining, and it's massive. Because deep work is rare, it's also more valuable than ever. In a world drowning in shallow thinking, the person who can go deep becomes a unicorn, an outlier, a force, the writer who finishes brilliant books, the designer who crafts game-changing interfaces, the developer who solves complex problems others can't even see. These people aren't superhuman. They're just focused. They've trained themselves to resist distraction, to say no to noise, to build routines that protect their deepest energy. And that's where you come in. If you're watching this, you already have something most people don't: awareness. You're seeing the system for what it is, and you have a chance to escape it. You don't need to change the world overnight. You just need to carve out one block of time, one sacred hour where you turn everything off and go deep. And if you do that consistently, day after day, you'll start to notice something strange. While others race to reply, you'll start to build. While others chase busy, you'll chase mastery. While the world gets louder, your mind gets clearer. Deep work is rare, but it's not extinct, not yet. And for those bold enough to choose it, it becomes a secret edge, a personal revolution, a way to rise in a world that's forgotten how to think. You probably heard it 1,000 times. Man, I'm so busy. I've got 100 things to do. I barely have time to breathe. It sounds like a badge of honor, doesn't it? As if being busy proves you're important. Like motion equals meaning. But let me ask you something personal. When you say you're busy, are you actually getting anything meaningful done? See, we've created a culture that confuses activity with achievement. A world where the person who answers the most emails, joins the most Zoom calls, and multitasks their way through the day is seen as productive. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Busy is often just a distraction in disguise. It makes us feel like we're working hard, like we matter. But deep down, it's often just noise, a way to avoid the focused, uncomfortable, meaningful work that really moves us forward. Let's go back for a second. There was a time when productivity was easy to measure. Think factory floors. If you made more shoes, more parts, more things, you were more productive. Simple. But today, most of us are knowledge workers. We don't make physical things. We make ideas, solutions, decisions. And those aren't as easy to count. So instead of measuring impact, we measure visibility. That's why people stay logged in late at night. Why they join pointless meetings. Why they rush to reply to every message within seconds. It's not because that's the best use of their time. It's because it makes them look busy. And being seen as busy, that's the new currency in a workplace that doesn't know how to measure true value. This is what we call busyness as a proxy for productivity. It's a mental shortcut, a trap, a lie we've learned to live with. And here's the dark side of that lie. It destroys your ability to go deep. Because the work that really matters, it doesn't look busy. It looks quiet, focused, still. A designer sketching alone. A writer staring at a blank page. A developer deep in code. A thinker walking alone, solving problems no one else sees. This kind of work doesn't generate a flurry of notifications. It doesn't show up on team chats every 10 minutes. But it's the work that changes things. And yet, we ignore it because it doesn't look productive. Worse still, we become addicted to digital noise. The ping of a message. The ding of a calendar invite. The endless scroll that makes us feel like we're staying in a loop. We tell ourselves it's necessary. That being connected 24/7 is part of being modern. That if we don't post, respond, or check constantly, we'll fall behind. But what if that belief is completely wrong? There's something called the cult of the internet. It's the unspoken belief that every new app, every platform, every online interaction is automatically good. That the more connected we are, the more valuable we are. It's why companies push employees to stay active on social media. Why we feel anxious if we don't check messages every few minutes. Why silence feels like failure. But here's the truth. Every second you spend reacting online is a second you're not creating something real. And in a world where attention is currency, the person who protects their mind wins. Think about the last time you made something you were truly proud of. Were you bouncing between notifications? Or were you focused, present, locked in? That's the power of choosing depth over distraction. Because deep work doesn't always look busy, but it builds results that busy work never could. It creates excellence. It earns trust. It delivers value. So the next time you catch yourself rushing from one thing to the next, ask yourself, am I actually producing something valuable or just try to look busy? It's a hard question, but it's the question that separates the mediocre from the exceptional. Because real progress isn't loud. It doesn't always show up on a calendar or a dashboard. Sometimes it happens in the quiet moments when the world thinks you're doing nothing and you're actually building something unforgettable. Here's something most people miss. Deep work doesn't just help you produce more. It helps you feel more. It helps you feel alive, in control, fulfilled. Because in a world full of noise and distraction, there's something deeply human about giving your full attention to one thing that matters. See, what you choose to focus on shapes how you experience your life. If your days are spent responding to messages, Jumping from one alert to the next, your mind becomes scattered. Your energy is drained, not because you're doing too much, but because you're never truly in anything. Your brain is always halfway somewhere else. And over time, that leaves you feeling anxious, frustrated, even empty. But when you go deep, really deep, something beautiful happens. You enter a state researchers call flow. It's that feeling where time disappears, where you're fully immersed, where your skills are being pushed just enough to stretch you, but not enough to break you. It's where effort meets satisfaction, where you stop watching the clock and start being the work. And here's the truth. People are happiest when they're in flow, not when they're scrolling, not when they're half listening, but when they're lost in something meaningful, even if it's hard, especially when it's hard. That's why deep work doesn't just improve your productivity, it improves your well-being. Because when you focus deeply, your mind becomes orderly, peaceful. You're not juggling 15 things at once. You're not haunted by that sense of, I should be doing more. You're doing the one thing that matters, and you're doing it well. And that feeling? It's rare, it's powerful, and it's addictive in the best way possible. But deep work offers something even richer than flow. It reconnects you to something we've almost forgotten in the age of speed, craftsmanship. Think of a master carpenter shaping a piece of wood, a violinist perfecting a single note, a baker kneading dough at dawn. There's pride in that. There's soul. You don't need to build furniture or paint portraits to feel it. If you're writing code with precision, speaking English with intention, or solving problems with clarity, you're a craftsman too. And that identity, it gives your work meaning. Because you're not just doing tasks. You're building excellence. You're honing a skill. You're leaving a mark. And here's what makes deep work so different from shallow work. It doesn't just pass the time, it builds time. It creates moments of clarity that stick with you. You don't remember the day you answered 50 emails, but you'll remember the day you finished something brilliant. And deep work is the path to that day. So if you want more from your life, more peace, more purpose, more pride in the work you do, it doesn't start with doing more. It starts with doing less, but doing it better. Choosing focus over frenzy. Choosing creation over reaction. Choosing go deep, not just in your work, but in the way you live. So now you understand it all. The power, the promise, the peace of deep work. But the question remains, how do you actually do it? How do you protect your time, sharpen your focus, and build a life where deep work isn't just something you occasionally stumble into, but a normal part of your day? The answer is simple. You need a plan. You need to be deliberate, not hopeful. Because deep work won't just show up one morning. The modern world isn't designed to give you focus. It's designed to take it from you. And if you don't fight for it, you'll lose it. So let's begin with step 1. Schedule your depth. Block it like an appointment. Treat it like a meeting with your future. Whether it's 1 hour in the morning, 2 in the evening, or a half day every Saturday, pick a time. Make it sacred. No distractions. No excuses. If someone asks for your time during that window, the answer is no. That time is for the work that matters. Step 2. Create a deep work environment. This isn't just about turning your phone to silent. This is about building a space, physical or digital, where your mind knows it's time to go deep. Maybe it's a desk by the window. Maybe it's a library, a cafe, or even just a quiet corner with headphones. Clean it. Declutter it. Make it yours. When you enter that space, your brain will start to switch gears. It'll know, this is where the real work happens. Step 3. Build rituals. Humans thrive on rhythm, and deep work is no different. Before each session, do the same thing. Maybe you make a cup of tea. Maybe you put your phone in another room. Maybe you write down your goal for that block of time. These tiny rituals tell your brain, we're entering a different mode now. We're not checking updates. We're not reacting. We're creating. We're building. Step 4. Track your focus, not your time. Don't just measure how many hours you sat at your desk. That's easy to fake. Measure how often you were fully present. Did you resist the urge to check your phone? Did you get into flow? Did you lose track of time in a good way? Keep a journal. A simple notebook where you jot down how deep your session really was. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns, what works, what breaks you, what you can improve. Step 5. Be patient. Deep work is a skill. And like any skill, it takes time. At first, it'll feel hard. You'll get distracted. You'll want to quit. That's normal. Your brain is used to jumping. You've trained it that way for years. But every time you return to the work, you're retraining it. You're building mental muscle. And one day, without even realizing it, focus will feel natural. Flow will arrive faster. The work will get deeper. And you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Step 6. Protect your energy like your success depends on it, because it does. Get enough sleep. Move your body. Eat food that fuels your brain. You can't work deeply if your mind is foggy and your body is falling apart. Deep work is demanding, and your energy is its foundation. And finally, step 7. Defend your boundaries. The world will try to steal your focus. People will ask for just a minute. Notifications will scream for attention. Deadlines will tempt you to multitask. Say no. Say it kindly, say it clearly, but say it firmly. You're not here to be available. You are here to be effective. And the more you protect your focus, the more valuable you become to your work, to your craft, to your own potential. So ask yourself today, what is one small change you can make this week to build a deep work habit? Maybe it's 30 minutes in the morning. Maybe it's deleting a distracting app. Maybe it's just turning your phone face down while you study. Start there. Let it grow. Because this isn't just about getting more done. This is about building a better life. A life that's calmer, clearer, more creative. A life that doesn't just react to the world, but shapes it. And that journey, it starts the moment you choose to go deep. So now you know the truth. Deep work isn't just a productivity hack. It's a mindset, a lifestyle, a quiet revolution in a noisy world. And if you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready for more. More focus, more clarity, more meaning. If today's story moved you, made you pause, made you think differently, even for a moment, then don't let it end here. Hit that like button, not for the algorithm, but to remind yourself, I choose to go deep. Leave a comment and tell us, what's one small change you're going to make this week to protect your focus? Let this community be where deep thinkers support each other. And if you're hungry for more stories like this, stories that sharpen your English and expand your mind, then subscribe to Epic English Stories. Because around here, we don't just learn words. We learn how to live better. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay sharp, stay present, and stay deep.